Welcome back to the Many Toys of, the show in which we go over the action figure history of various Transformers characters. And seeing as how we are officially in October, on the countdown to my favorite holiday of the year, I want to really bring in a good Decepticon. Someone who can get us in the mood to be scared and intimidated. Who's menacing enough for such a job?
It's a bad dream.
Are you username LadiesMan217?
Yeah?
Where is the eBay item 21153? Where are the bosses?
Yeah, I think it's about time that we give the Bayverse some love and focus on one of its greatest breakout stars, that being Barricade. Before we get started, a big thank you to Brick Gaming 4264, Rex Films Official, and Nitro Menace 1424 for all suggesting Barricade for the show. Of course, only one Barricade could be the first, and back in 1990, the Micromaster Racetrack Patrol team was led by Barricade. Yeah, this guy's a bit of a neon nightmare, but I really do like his F1 Racer mode, and the robot mode is really solid for a G1 Micromaster. Barricade may not have been hallmarked for greatness, but at the very least, this is where the legacy began for the guy. Skipping forward about, 14 years, but in 2004, Transformers Energon would release the next version of Barricade. I wish I could tell you a little bit about his character, but we didn't really ever see it. In Energon, Barricade and the rest of the Destruction team were just kind of drones. You only ever really saw them in their combined mode. I think Barricade only showed up by himself one time, and it was just so they could kick off a combination gimmick. It's not the best showing for the character, but at the very least the toy is great. Proportions are nice and bulky, the colors are beautiful. He takes more than a little bit from Onslaught, let's be fair, especially with that vehicle mode. But Onslaught was a great design, and modernizing the design, making it a little bit more slick, but also a little bit more bulked out, it made Bruticus and Barricade in general as just a really, really nice new take on what was supposed to be the Combaticons. In 2005, Barricade would be released again. Also in 2005, he would have been released again in the Universe line. This is the same toy for the third time in a row. That's where we get to the twist in our tale. Barricade, as good a name as it was, didn't have much use in Transformers. A single Micromaster and one dude in Energon. That's when we get to the 2007 movie and some pretty heavy rewrites. In the original script of the Michael Bay Transformers movie, Soundwave was supposed to be a part of the Decepticon team, and he eventually got split into 4 separate characters. Blackout, Scorponok, Barricade, and Frenzy were all at one point just Soundwave. That got scrapped because Soundwave was deemed as being too present in the movie and being far too active in the plot as opposed to the other villains. So now you have Frenzy running around, but he needs a partner. At the same time, the Autobot side is also getting shuffled around. The original Autobot lineup was supposed to be Optimus Prime, RC, Prowl, Ratchet, and Bumblebee. Eventually, RC got replaced with Ironhide, and at some point later, Prowl was replaced with Jazz. So now you have Industrial Lights and Magic, they already have a concept for a transforming police car, and the producers fall in love with the idea of an evil transforming police car, and why not partner that one up with Frenzy? And thus, Barricade was born. In any case, the first toy of Barricade you'd be able to get was in 2007, and it would have been the Legends class version of the guy. Now, I really like this. They found a way to capture his proportions really well in Legends class in 2007. The transformation's very simple, but there's something about how they did the arms, and specifically how they used the wheels to make his shoulder spikes, that I think makes Barricade one of the best Legends class figures from that 2007 assortment. This same figure would have been re-released in the Battle for the Allspark Toys R Us exclusive multipack. Later on in 2007, Recon Barricade would be released. He was a blue repaint of Barricade to make him look a little bit more Transformery. He would have been in a 2-pack alongside Cliffjumper. However, there is no doubt that the main Barricade of 2007 had to be the Deluxe class Barricade. And I know I like to gush about these 2007 guys, but this Barricade is just so good. Like, obviously, he is not perfectly screen accurate, but he's pretty close. Look at how they managed to get those wild proportions and the almost knife's edge jutting out details of his harsh angles. I especially love how they did the arms. The legs are fine, a little bit stocky. Frenzy is released with his guy, and yeah, he's maybe a bit too big for Barricade, but at the same time, you're getting 2 of the 7 Decepticons at the deluxe price point, and Frenzy's fine. Like, yeah, he's out of scale, but are you really complaining that he's not 2 centimeters tall? The final trick of this Barricade is in his left arm, where he has a spring-loaded punch attack. This same exact toy would be released in the Bumblebee vs. Barricade First Encounter Walmart exclusive multi-pack. He would be repainted again in 2007 into Recon Barricade, just like the Legends class guy. I really love the deco here. It doesn't really even feel like Barricade anymore. It's almost like a different character with the silver and the blue, but I think it looks really cool, and it is supposedly supposed to be quote-unquote G1 accurate. It was more the designers were trying to imagine what this character would have looked like had he properly appeared in G1. And there's also the weirdness of Frenzy being entirely blue, but that's getting much more into a Frenzy is blue, Rumble is red debate. The original Deluxe Barricade would have been released in the First Encounter pack with a new unposable Frenzy minifigure, as well as minifigures of Sam and Michaela. And finally, towards the end of 2007, the deluxe mold would be redone with a lot of new bright blue paint and plastic for the Allspark Enhanced Barricade. Of course, there were also gimmick toys in 2007. Look at the Fast Action Battlers and the Blade Shield Barricade. This guy has pretty solid proportions. I do think the arms are a little bit thin, but at the same time, it was meant for very young Transformers fans. I do think it's pretty fun how they were able to get that weird mace weapon that Barricade uses for like 2 seconds in the movie. You also would have had the Cyber Slammer Barricade. We've seen these before. Basically, they roll forward and pop up. Pretty cool. This was my childhood Barricade, the Robot Replicas Barricade. Non-transforming, but what you have is about 5 inches tall, and it is as close to the CG model as they would have gone until Studio Series years later. The joints are designed to be similar to Revoltech joints, and even though it's not the most posable action figure in the world, it was one of the most posable Transformer figures in the world when it came out, and I just adore it. I think it's great. I wish it was a little bit taller maybe to better scale with deluxes, but I still proudly have this Barricade on my shelf. Hey, remember Radio Shack? Well, if you had popped into one in 2007, you could have gotten the Micro IR Transformers car. Just a few more oddities here. You could have gotten 2 versions of Barricade inside the Transformers chess set. They would have been the Decepticon Bishops. Alongside that, you could have gotten the Movie Dangler Barricade. There was the X-Mods Evolution Transformers Barricade. It would have been a little model kit that you could have actually had the headlights pop out of. There was the basic fun Barricade keychain. He popped into Robot Heroes for a spell alongside Bumblebee. And finally, there was the Zip Zaps Micro RC Barricade, a pocket-sized radio control car. Things were still going pretty well for Barricade in 2008. For one, you would have had the Premium Series Barricade. This would have been a slight redeco of the Deluxe Barricade to make it more movie accurate, and it also included some additional 911 markings to make it more accurate to the police cars in use in California at that time. At the Animation Comic Game Hong Kong 2008 convention, you could have gotten the Premium Series Barricade with a little bit more paint alongside Premium Megatron, Deep Space Starscream, Premium Blackout, and an unchanged Brawl inside the Transformers commemorative box set. The Cyber Slammer Barricade would have been repainted into Patrol Barricade, which was using the Recon Barricade colors. How many more times can I say Barricade in this sentence? You could have gone the Unleashed Blackout and Barricade figurine stand. Basically, it just looks like these two are walking away from an explosion like a couple of cool guys. There was the Transformers movie screen cleaner. Barricade had a second go in Robot Heroes with a completely new mold. I like it because he's supposed to be fighting Optimus, but instead it looks like he's running to catch up with an old friend. And finally, Legends Recon Barricade would have been single-packed and released in European markets. The good times just continued to roll into 2009, where in the Revenge of the Fallen line, you could have gone the Interrogator Barricade. Now, this is technically a retool, but not really. You see, it's still the original Barricade toy, not even the premium series. But instead of coming with Frenzy, he now has those little headlights pop out a little bit further so that you can really menace a little Sam minifigure. Barricade also received a Human Alliance figure right after Bumblebee and Sideswipe. He was the next one in, baby. And he is rough. Like, forget leg day. The guy is SpongeBobbing so hard. He has a massive torso, these long gorilla arms, and these super scrawny legs. And at first I saw this and I thought, well, you know, the CG model is a little bit strange. But no, it's not accurate to that either. It's much more they had to make the room for human minifigures to go inside, as well as the Frenzy figure he comes with. And as a result, the figure suffers quite a bit. He's not as good as Bumblebee. I'd argue he's probably not as good as Sideswipe. But there definitely would have been a period of time in which this was the best Barricade toy. If you got a Nestle Surprise Cup in 2009, there was a chance that you might get a very small figurine of Barricade. You would have had the RPM Barricade come out alongside the 1977 style of Bumblebee. You could have also gone Barricade on his own in 2009. He was 3 for 3 in terms of years where he showed up in Robot Heroes. This time he was alongside Ratchet. It is the original mold, but it is slightly redecoed to be more similar to his on-screen appearance. 2010 would have been a pretty major year of slowdown, but there were still a lot of Barricades to come out. For one, in the Transformers 2010 line, you would have had the Target-exclusive Hunter's Rumble 2-pack. It would have included this really cool redeco of the Interrogator Barricade, alongside a redeco of the Revenge of the Fallen Sideswipe. You also would have had the Gravity Bot Barricade. Look at this blocky little chunkster, I love him! Basically, you just take the vehicle mode, you put it on the back fender, and he stands up. It's great, I like it, good simple little gimmick, and the Barricade is rocking it. In the world of RPMs, you would have had Patrol Barricade come out. It more or less just has blue instead of an all-black deco. A second redeco of the RPM Barricade, known as the Highway Patrol Barricade, would have also been released this year. There was also the Radio Control Barricade in 2010, but hey, for the genuine Barricade experience, why don't you pick up the Speed Stars Highway Patrol Barricade? It's more or less the RPM, but now there's a little bit more black, and also, I don't know, it says Speed Stars on the box now. If you didn't like that Speed Stars Barricade, you could have gone the Stunticon Barricade, whose paint job is meant to invoke Breakdown. And then there was the third Speed Stars Barricade, which is the Patrol Barricade. It's more or less the RPM Patrol Barricade, but with less paint. This is going to sound really silly. One of my favorite barricades of all time is the Stealth Force Barricade. So the whole gimmick with Stealth Force is you wouldn't have a robot mode, you'd have the vehicle transformed to be weaponized, armored up with all these guns and blasters flipping all over the place. I love how this Barricade looks. I think it's the best Stealth Force toy, I really do. In 2011, Dark of the Moon made its debut, and that was enough of an excuse to get some more Barricade toys out there. Figures like Cyberverse Barricade. Now, this is very similar to the original Legends Barricade, but it is different. And it's also using a much more friendly, almost G1 Prowl type color scheme. I don't really know why though. I don't think they ever actually released this guy in the proper Barricade colors. This same figure would have been redecoed with a great deal of gray and packaged alongside Bumblebee, Ironhide, and Crankcase in the Cybertronian Warriors pack. Guys, I'm sorry, I just need to gush for a minute, but the Mech Tech Deluxe Class Barricade, what a beautiful toy. What a beautiful, beautiful toy. The transformation looks incredible. The robot mode, on point, proportions perfect. They finally managed to make everything look like it did in the movie. The police car is still really fun. The gimmick weapon works great. This very well might be the best Barricade toy of all time. There's just one issue, and that is, it's really hard to get your hands on this guy. He was one of those later wave figures, and unfortunately, most people weren't ever able to find him. He's not as bad as, say, Q, but he's getting close to Soundwave in terms of how expensive he is on the aftermarket. Because I think everybody knew, and everybody kind of agrees, that this was a standout figure for the character. In 2012, we were in a post-Michael Bay trilogy world. We didn't know that there was going to be a fourth movie, and let's be honest, Dark of the Moon ends in a pretty conclusive way. That said, it's not like Barricade was abandoned by Hasbro, he just wasn't as common for a little bit. For instance, one of his major toys of 2012 would have been his Botshot, a great looking gimmick figure, but that was pretty much as extensive as it got. At the very least, he was able to break into the world of Creo. If you got the Cycle Chase Creon set, you could have gotten a minifigure of Barricade alongside his motorcycle as he was being pursued by Auto Troopers. A fun little pack. As we enter this slight lull for Barricade, I think now would be a good time to pop over to Third Party and see what they've gone up to with the guy. The first third-party Barricade I would have ever heard about would have been the New Age take on Barricade. This is a repaint of their smokescreen mold, but he wears it really well. The funny thing is, I don't know what was announced first between this and the Siege Barricade. They would have come out around the same time, maybe a few months of each other. And I just think it's really funny that both Third Party and Hasbro both came to the conclusion that if you wanted to do a G1 style Barricade, the obvious place to go was to repaint the Datsuns? But then you got the Toy World Barricade. Look at this, it's in their World War II series, and he just looks incredible. It's insane, taking that 2007 movie design and just giving it this new World War II era vehicle mode, some more period appropriate weapons. It's insane. It goes great with their Bumblebee and their Hot Rod. It is a wonderful looking figure, and it's my favorite thing out of Third Party. That being when Third Party just does something different, makes its own designs, makes its own twists, and that wraps up Third Party. Granted, he's not had much, but I think it's interesting to point out that Barricade is one of the few characters alongside Lockdown and Bulkhead who were latecomers to Transformers, didn't show up in G1 or Beast Wars, and yet still have some presence in Third Party. Going back to official waters in 2013, you could have gotten the Botshot Barricade in the Decepticon Fire Assault Team. He also would have been released in Japan as the Be Cool American Patrol Car Decepticon Barricade, which, if that's not the best name ever, I don't know what is. There were going to be some strange days for Barricade in 2014. For instance, he would have had his Battlemaster figure, essentially a Rock'em Sock'em Barricade. He was nicknamed the Prince of Punishment, by the way. There also would have been the Goldie Marketing Thrilling 30 Barricade. However, the best Barricade figure of 2014 very well might have been the Timelines Barricade. So this is a heavy retool redeco of the Prime Beast Hunter smokescreen, and I just adore it. This is what I think a G1 Barricade should look like. And to be fair, this is supposed to be a War for Cybertron / Transformers Universe take on his design. Transformers Universe, of course, an MMO that unfortunately never really came out here in the United States, but they had some incredible design work, and Barricade was no exception. 2015 would have been a lean year for Barricade. For one, you could get the Creon Barricade again. This was the Cycle Chase set, just re-released in a generic box. Alongside that, in the Asia Premium series, you could have gone the Human Alliance Barricade and the Human Alliance Soundwave in a 2-pack. It would have been an even leaner year in 2016. The only toy Barricade got was the Last Night Legion class Barricade, which was itself a pretty heavy redeco of the Beast Hunter smokescreen again. The drought Barricade had came to a complete end in 2017. We have the Turbo Changer Barricade. One step, super tall. You also would have had the one-step Turbo Changer. This Barricade would have actually included a couple of cool weapons and a wild-looking deco on the hood of the police car. I do not know what's going on there. Tiny Turbo Changer Barricade was super cute. Allspark Tech Barricade was more or less a Rescue Bot styled version of the guy, and again, he looks really nice. However, the main Barricade of the year would have been the Premier Edition Deluxe Class Barricade. There's a lot to like about this figure. His proportions are great, I like the paint that's here, the overall design of Barricade in the movie is super solid, and ultimately this is what kind of became the G1-ified version of Barricade. He has great accessories like the pistol, his nightstick, that wraparound gun of his, and the coolest part of it to me is if you take off his kibble backpack, it actually makes for a pretty nice riot shield. And also, check out those knuckle dusters of his. They say protect and serve, but they're written backwards, because the idea is that if he punches you, it would be stamped. This same mold would have been released in Hong Kong, limited to 300 pieces, and it would have been hand-painted to include battle damage to make it the most accurate toy version of this design ever made. Simba Smoby would have had a non-transforming version of Barricade in their Metacol figures. They also would have released a die-cast Barricade car that is pretty similar to a Hot Wheels or Matchbox style of car. Jada Toys would have had a 1/24th scale version of Barricade's police car. This same police car would have been done by Jada again in 1/32 scale, and again in 1/64th scale. Finally, you would have had the Prime 1 Studio version of Barricade in their Museum Masterline statue series. Interestingly, in 2017, there would have been the Bouncing Ball Head Barricade. So this is a super deformed figure that has a removable head that can act as a bouncing ball. 2018 would have been an even bigger year for Barricade. For one, you would have had the Turbo Chain series Barricade, which would have more or less just been a release of the previous Turbo Changer toy. There would have been a tiny Turbo Changer of the original movie Barricade design. Looks great, I love how they did the arms. Barricade would have popped into Studio Series, making one of the best Barricade toys to date. A beautiful robot mode, a great transformation, a wonderful Mustang police car mode. I really enjoy this Barricade, even though personally I would still put the Dark of the Moon Barricade above it. Of course, there was also the masterpiece movie Barricade in 2018. Look at this guy. A beautiful figure. Aside from Bumblebee, it might be the single best figure in the Masterpiece movie line. Wonderful articulation, great paint. It's insane to me that they were able to get the chaos of the robot mode so accurate and still have that clean a car mode. For a more simple Barricade, you could have gone the Bumblebee Movie Speed series Barricade. I'm not gonna lie, one of the Barricades I want the most is the Nitro series Barricade. I don't even know why I love this so much, but his vehicle mode reminds me of Armada Red Alert, and you have this massive, bulky robot mode. He's basically Voyager sized. He's just so good looking. 2019 was a bit of a light year for Barricade. For one, you could have gotten the Energon Igniter Speed Barricade alongside Camaro Bumblebee in the Transformers fan book from TV magazine Mook. Of course, there was also the Siege Barricade. This is a new head retool of Siege Prowl, and I love it. The colors here are just to die for. The vehicle mode is great. I like the guns. It's a really nice version of this figure. There's just one personal issue. From the knee all the way down to the ankle, that's just one big chunk of purple translucent plastic. And unfortunately, there's been a lot of breakages when it comes to this figure. In 2020, you could have gone the War for Cybertron Earthrise Dominus Criminal Pursuit Pack, Amazon exclusive, and it would have included a redeco of Smokescreen to make this beautiful Barricade. There was also this bag clip Barricade. I don't know why, but I really like this guy. Going into 2021, you could have gone the Authentics Bravo Barricade. This is a very simple core class sized Barricade, and he's really solid. We would also see the return of Studio Series Barricade in Buzzworthy Bumblebee. This time it would have been in a 2-pack with Clunker Bumblebee. One of the more interesting Barricades of 2021 was this, the Micromaster Runner from Earthrise. This is, to date, the only redo of actual G1 Barricade, the Micromaster being given precedence over the police bot. Going past 2022 and straight into 2023, you could have gone Studio Series Barricade once again, this time in the 15th anniversary Decepticon multipack alongside Megatron, Starscream, and Blackout. The Bumblebee movie Speed Series Barricade also would have been re-released, this time in the Autobots Unite subline of the Rise the Beast toy line. We eventually got a figure of him in Gamer Edition Studio Series, and it's fine. It's okay. The car mode's a bit iffy, the transformation's not great, the robot mode is very kibbly, he has loose joints, and the proportions are a bit off, and the articulation is also a bit stunted. But overall, he looks good on a shelf, and I like this design enough to where I'm kind of happy he just exists as a toy at long last. And that brings us to our current day in 2024, in which if you go into a store right now, there's a chance you might be able to pick up the Hot Wheels Decepticon Ford Mustang GT. Even though Barricade is not mentioned by name on the box, it is meant to be Barricade's car mode from the first movie. And that's it. I'm going to be honest with you guys, when I first started doing research for this video, I would have thought Barricade didn't have that many toys. And to some extent, I'm right, at least compared to the other 2007 movie bots. Compare him to, I don't know, Ironhide, Sideswipe, Jazz, Bumblebee, Optimus, Megatron, Starscream. All these characters got dozens and dozens of toys. In some cases, hundreds of toys. Barricade, by comparison, is actually somewhat conservative in the number he got. Yeah, there were a lot of toys in 2007 and 2008, but not a lot of action figures. Most of them were gimmick toys or RC cars. Alongside that, he didn't have many unique molds. A lot of redecos and remolds of older Barricades, and nowadays it's just straight up re-releases. But that's not me complaining. I think it makes Barricade still feel special. Like, yeah, he's had a bunch of releases, and yet every time a new Barricade's announced, he still feels kind of fresh. It's amazing to me that he was able to keep a certain appeal to him, a certain restraint, when so many of the other movie designs got so bloated with their toy releases. Every time a new Barricade comes out, I'm interested. I always love to see how they might tinker with the design next. I can't say I feel the same way about a movie Bumblebee, or a movie Optimus, or a movie Sideswipe. There's something about Barricade's design being so strong, plus him not having that many remolds or unique releases, and the fact that he didn't have that many toy releases for a major movie bot to begin with, that even now, all these years later, he's still kind of fresh. He's like Lockdown and Bulkhead in so many ways, but the biggest thing of all is always going to be that he proved that you don't have to be G1 to be a star in this franchise. Barricade, in many ways, is an A-lister. Not on the back of media appearances, not on the back of comic books, not on the back of video games. It was entirely due to that opening introduction of him in the 2007 movie. It's resonated enough to keep him relevant all these years later. And for that, I salute you, Barricade. But guys, I'll ask you, which was your favorite Barricade? And is there a Barricade you're trying to track down right now? I know we have a lot of characters in our viewer request list, but we are going to get to each and every one of them in time, I swear to you. Alongside that, guys, if there's any other characters you'd like for me to look at, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. In any case, guys, we'll see what we get up to next time.